So let's get back into it. Shall we begin our investigations then? I am acquainted with Hermes, of course, but only as a visitor received by the chief overseer of Elpis. Of the man himself, I know only that which is common knowledge. Thus I suggest we fall back on the tried and true method of conversing with the locals. The observers who live here can surely tell us more of Hermes and Medion, and I have a good idea of where we might begin. Alright, I guess we'll just follow you. You're not even going to tell me where this place is, but just by the magic of MMOs and GPS technology, we know exactly where we're headed. No big deal. See you the woman standing in front of yonder building? Her name is Ismene. She is the one who made arrangements for my stay in Elpis, and from what I can recall, she has held her position here for quite some time. Chances are she can provide us with some insights. Go and ask your questions. I will help with drawing out answers if need be. But I leave the choice of topic up to you. A brave choice. Have you heard of Toontown Online? Questions? For me? Well, I suppose I have no other pressing duties at the moment. Alright, we're about to get into some real shit. Every time you see a prompt like that, you know you're going to be sitting here for 15, 20, 30, 60 minutes. We'll see. Not even voice acted? I'm not reading this. Come on. Alright, well somebody has to. Certainly, well, Jesus Christ, it's moving too fast for me. What do you wish to know? What are Hermes' interests? His interests? Well, he is an authority on flying life forms and has expansive knowledge of living creatures in general. Is that what you wish to know? How would you describe him as a person? As a colleague? He is a quiet man, reserved you might say, and occasionally somewhat poor with his choice of words. His reticent nature, however, does not prevent him from carrying out his duties as chief overseer. I hope that answers your question. Was there anything else? Yes, why is this like a serious story-driven segment of the game and it's not even voice acted? Come on. Do you know of Medion's abilities? It's no secret that she is a highly unusual familiar. Of late, the chief often makes his rounds with her, like a mother hen raising her chick. I understand that she is able to read emotions and communicate directly with one's mind. Exactly how she was created with that talent, however, is a mystery to me. My apologies. I wish I could explain her nature in more depth, but I've not had occasion to discuss it with Chief Hermes. Do you trust him? I beg your pardon? I've known Chief Hermes for many years. Though I cannot say we are close, he has never withheld information to the detriment of our duties, if that is what you mean. Forgive us, we seem to have veered slightly off course here. Is there perhaps someone else who could tell us more about Medion? That would be Timaeus. He has a similar expertise with flying concepts and is more than eager to discuss the subject. You'll find him conducting his observations on the banks of the stream, somewhere to the east. Oh, and unless you take a particular joy in rambling discourse, I suggest you keep your questions concise. We shall keep that in mind. Thank you for your patience and your insight. Think nothing of it. If there is aught else you need during your stay, please, do not hesitate to ask. So fucking polite. God damn. Their mom must raise them well. Come, my name, I think we've taken enough of Ismene's time. Alright. Oh, okay, right behind me. Our investigation is off to a fine start, wouldn't you agree? From here I propose that we split up. I shall continue making inquiries with the resident observers. If you could track down the colleague Ismene mentioned. Jesus Christ, let me put on my glasses. While I did feel compelled to interject once or twice during that previous conversation, you seem more than capable of drawing forth the answers you seek. All I ask is that you watch your footing around the stream. We can meet back here once you finish speaking with this Timaeus. Sounds like a plan. And let's see how close any of these... I'm sure we'll be headed that direction. They don't really go too far off the beaten path these days. Now it seems like, since they cleaned everything up, especially with Endwalker, most of these points that you need to find, they're going to be right there as you go along your quests. God, this song is so silly. This is the most ridiculous song in the game. But it's a cool mount. Yes, yes, I am Timaeus, but please keep your voice down. You'll startle the birds. Alright, another story-driven segment that we cannot skip. That is not voice acted. That's what I'm here for. So, what is it you wish to speak about? Is it true you're an expert on flying creations? A fellow enthusiast, are you? We'll settle in and we can discuss the finer points of this fascinating craft. My deep and abiding love of avian artistry can be traced back to when I was but a young boy, stricken by the transcendent beauty of a glorious golden-feathered creature my father had designed. It was then and there that I vowed to one day surpass that masterpiece. Timaeus launches into a rambling and unstoppable discourse. And thus did I secure an observer's role here in Elpis, and at last realize my childhood ambition. Here, the dreams I once dreamed are an everyday reality, in which I find fulfillment through the research and creation of new flying life forms. An abridged recounting of events, as was doubtless to your disappointment. Is there any specific part you would like me to expound upon? You were hoping for my opinion on Chief Hermes's creations? Then why didn't you say so? Those beings which soar through the clouds, majestic and graceful, are ever a favorite of creators. Even now, with so many varieties in existence, the flood of newly imagined concepts continues unabated. What sets the Chief's creations apart, however, is how they benefit from his boundless knowledge of the celestial realm. Birds that climb so high they disappear from view, others which traverse the boundless sky in moments, and all without riding the currents. I know of none save he who can conceive of such marvels. Even we who prize elegance of form above all else are dumbfounded by his genius. Why not mimic his process? What? You mean plagiarize? Now see here, when I take up the threads of creation and begin to weave, I must do so in the belief that I am giving birth to something beautiful. If, in my heart, I knew I was appropriating another's inspiration... Oh my, he just keeps going. This pedantic bastard. But he has values, you know? That's admirable. And such an unconscionable, disgraceful act would be deserving of the utmost scorn. Therefore, despite my admiration for Median as a concept, I have made a conscious effort not to delve too deeply into the inner workings of her nature. I know that she has a gift for communicating via emotions, but otherwise her abilities are a mystery to me. If Chief Hermes should choose to submit Median's concept to the Bureau of the Architect, then will the design be registered for public scrutiny? Analyzing a colleague's creation before that step is frowned upon, to say the least. Of course, if he came to me, a fellow artisan, looking for advice, that would be an entirely different story. I could tell you more of Median's nature if you like. No, 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 did I not just explain how that was frowned upon? I couldn't possibly circumvent conventional practice by... Unless you are sharing such information in the hopes of receiving a constructive opinion on the application of advanced creation techniques, then I would be practically obligated to... Timaeus launches into a rambling and unstoppable deluge of justifications. So you see, ethically, I have no choice but to allow you to disclose Median's lesser-known qualities. That sounds good. You're using the Darman script too. Dynamis and Intelekis? Those terms do sound vaguely familiar. Was there not a flower made here in Elpis which exhibited properties for one or the other? It must have been centuries since I last heard anyone speak of such things, and you know how they relate to Median and her design. Then why bring up the subject? I'm flattered that you sought my insight, but I cannot afford to neglect my duties for the sake of idle chatter. Now, I must really return to my observations. Surely you have your own tasks to attend to. That guy's like at least half as pretentious as Urianger. And I know that's an unpopular opinion. A lot of people seem to really like the guy, but, you know, not me. He's my least favorite character. I'll never get over the Shakespearean roleplay. Whatever he's going for. At last, you were gone so long I was beginning to wonder if you'd slipped into the stream and banged your head, or something equally unfortunate. So, have you any findings to share? I see. Even an expert in the field had little understanding of Median's capabilities, let alone an awareness of a dynamis. My questions resulted in much the same answers. Hermes' colleagues view Median as his personal project, and could provide no details beyond those you told me. Which leads me to believe that the only person with any significant knowledge of Dynamis is Hermes himself. Yes, we've made some progress here, but more information is needed if we are to reach any definitive conclusions. Alright. More loot, more equipment. I just got rid of my silly robe, I missed that though. Yeah, like it covered up my whole face. I missed it already. Now you can see my beautiful French face. At present, the strongest link we have to the final days is the power of Dynamis, and the intellects which can control it. Yet most scholars are only vaguely aware of these terms, let alone study them in any depth, except for Hermes, it seems. Thus, I am inclined to stay our current course, and learn all we can about the Chief Overseer and his familiar. And on that subject, was there aught else of note you can tell me about Median, aside from our unorthodox method of communication? She and her sisters were created to journey to the stars in search for intelligent life. I rather wish you had mentioned that earlier. In any event, would you care to elaborate? So these siblings of hers now travel the great expanse in search of deeper meaning. Thank you. Though the mystery at hand remains unresolved, I feel you've touched upon a vital clue, one we should keep in mind as we continue. Next, I propose we take ourselves to Perpetua Crystalline. Not far from here, just follow the path to the west. Alright, I'm going to be butchering a lot of these names, especially, I'm already having trouble with, like, regular words that we use every day. So especially these made-up names and words and all that good stuff. I'm going to be butchering the hell out of it. But, you know, they should have voice acted it themselves if they didn't want that happening. Where is that ether current? It's got to be right under my nose. Oh, yeah, it's right there. Top of the waterfall. See, that's what I was saying. They don't really put them too far out of the way. You know, it's pretty much, you're either going to find them in the main story quest, or finding just, you know, other stuff you're going to be doing regardless, including other ether current quests. My god, they're everywhere. I'm just trying to make a clean attempt. But I don't know if that's possible. Alright, turns out all I had to do was believe in myself. I never had any doubts. But yeah, this song for the Cruise Chaser is just ridiculous. It's more or less the same lyrics over and over again, and then it adds like some other parts that are more or less the same. Inspired. This tower and the one further along are both part of Perpetua Crystalline, the facility where they archive all of Elpis's observational and testing records. Despite how they appear from the outside, the interior is actually a vast area of magically interconnected spaces which, while fascinating, is not the reason we are here, is it? I shall cut my architectural lesson short and see what those two archivists have to share. If you could find someone to speak with over at the other tower, I shall join you there anon. Anon was a word that I never knew before. It seems to mean, like, shortly. You know, I wish I'd just say that. You know, it's more than enough just dealing with this shit from Orianji. I don't need to hear it from all these guys. This is where Orianji came from. It seems like it's kind of like, you know, more or less, I'm getting huge Orianji vibes from everybody that I meet. You have questions for me? Certainly. Just a moment while I conclude my current appointment. Indeed, so if you could provide a comprehensive log of those behaviors, we should then have sufficient data for our official records. Now, what was it you wished to speak with me about? The Chief Overseer's personal research project, and by that I assume you mean Median. Such undocumented studies are difficult to track. After all, hardly a day goes past without seeing a researcher trailed by one creation or another. I'm afraid I cannot tell you exactly when Median appeared, only that she now spends much of her time at Chief Hermes' side. Although, I do recall an interesting tale my dearest GOBLIN shared with me. Ah, GOBLIN is my partner, and a fellow researcher here in Elpis. She was returning late one night when she caught sight of Chief Hermes sending Median heavensward, a host of them. For several days, she would speak of that scene with wonder, describing it as one of the most beautiful spectacles she had ever witnessed. That sounds like a story I should like to hear. Mistress Benat, I thought you had already returned to the surface. Permit me to thank you again for your invaluable contribution to our concept placement proposal. Pray do not mention it. As you say, my original plan was to leave after that task, but I have since become engrossed with Chief Hermes' research. Would you favor me with a retelling of this sight, which so delighted your GOBLIN? Of course. Or you could hear it from her lips directly, if you prefer. At present, she should be observing a subject in Metabasios Thalassai. She does enjoy her time there, watching the sea creatures hunt and play, gazing upon the salty waters of the world's oceans, recreated in such sublime detail. I imagine you must find similar joy in indulging your boundless curiosity, Mistress Venat, even though such pursuits must continually and regretfully delay your return to the star. Indeed they do. 'Tis a rest well-deserved and long overdue, I should think. How greatly have we prospered for the wisdom you accumulated during your travels as Azim. And what would Elpis be without your earlier academic work? The theories you developed served as the basis of many techniques still in use today. Man is a creature of contemplation, but none embody that nature with as much enduring passion as you. I dare say there is not a soul alive more worthy of a return. I shall rejoice the day you depart on your final journey. I will be honored. Well, shall we take this opportunity to meet with GOBLIN in person? Nod. There we go. Then allow me to reconfigure the door to the archives here. It's kind of funny we haven't figured another way to communicate with other people outside of nodding. It will take you up to the Skyway and spare you the need to avoid hostile concepts on the ground. That would be most helpful. Thank you. Everyone's so polite here. Their mothers did a hell of a job. I have opened the path to the Skyway. Once you pass through the door, simply walk across to the next tower and ask for admittance into the upper tier. Upon arriving at the upper tier, walk straight across the Skyway, and you will find yourself at the entrance to Metabasios, the left side. GOBLIN will be eager to share her tale with you, I am sure. Wow, there's more ground to cover than I realized. This place is big. Mr. Svenat, just passing through? Then allow me to prepare the path. If you need further assistance, there is always an observer or two out on the upper Skyway. I wonder if they're ever going to add more ways for the main character to communicate outside of nodding. But even then, I'd start complaining. Like, hey, what is this? Well, they're changing it up on me. I'm not used to this. Mr. Svenat, I was not told to expect. We would have prepared an official welcome. Please, there is no need for fanfare. I only wish to speak with GOBLIN, if that might be arranged. Yes, GOBLIN, of course. I will inform her immediately. Ah, but she may be engaged in a testing phase. You could be in for something of a wait. Should I let her know your business is urgent? That won't be necessary. This lovely view will keep us occupied until she is ready to receive us. That's so goddamn pure and wholesome. I like her.
A delightful breeze and a breathtaking view. What is it like in the future? Is the world still a beautiful place?
Some parts, yes. Others, not so much.
Dark, hidden places, rife with danger. Those have an altogether different, but no less powerful sort of appeal. While we wait, will you not tell me about your adventures? Well, not the portentous events which led you here, but the simple delights all your own. By learning about the future world, I may gain insight into future me's plans. But more than that, I have an interest simply as a fellow traveler. Short of going somewhere oneself, there's naught more stirring than hearing another's account. Incredible! Would that I could have been there to see it. Yours is a harsh and unforgiving world. Yet in spite of this, your brethren hold fast to their virtue. To know that the light of mankind's potential still shines, even in that faraway place, it gives me heart. Thank you for regaling me with your tales. I will treasure every word. As you know, I was once a scholar. And among other things, I sought to understand the workings of the world. What exactly is ether? How formed the laws of nature? Whence sprung mankind? Riddles and mysteries beyond counting. Over the years, I have managed to find answers to some few of them. Yet rather than attain a sense of mastery, the more I understood, the more I came to hold the world and its miracles in awe. We too are miracles, each and every one of us, born of the warm breath of life that traverses the heavens, swirling through eternity. When I fully grasped the improbability of our existence, nothing felt impossible anymore. If it could be imagined, it could be done. A passion swelled within me, an epiphany dispelling all preconceptions of what was natural and true. And a presence without, immense yet intimate. Fate, perhaps, holding us in its tender embrace. As reassuring as it was intimidating, how keenly aware I became of creation's fragility, built as it is upon precarious happenstance. I was overcome with an irrepressible urge to know the world more intimately, to hear its voice, feel its breath. I ventured forth on a journey that very day, so very long ago now. Freed from presumption and prejudice, I saw the world through a newborn's eyes. Everything fresh and new, and so beautiful. Lands that stretched on forever. Skies one could drown in, the heartbeat of nature, silent yet strong. And amidst it all a people, beacons of light and life, laughter that warmed my heart like naught else before. They are my meaning, and my purpose, my love. And so long as they need help, I cannot return to the star. Perhaps my future self is still waiting for it. A moment she can let go and walk unto the end. Safe in the knowledge that man will find his own way. You, who are our future, tell me this, and tell me true. Has your journey been good? Has it been worthwhile?
Is he going to nod? The suspense is killing me.
Pray forgive my lateness. My observation subject was rather irritable, and it took a while to settle it down.
No need to apologize. Your work takes precedence. Besides, we had a pleasant conversation in the meantime.
You're too kind. Now then, I'm told you wished to ask me some questions.
Indeed. I've an interest in one of Hermes' creations. Meteon. You witnessed a host of them take flight, yes?
Oh, that! Yes, I did. It was in the dark of the morn. I'd left the Thalassai after nocturnal observation. As I walked along, I spied a bright light climbing high into the southeastern skies. Then, in an instant, it was gone, like a shooting star, only rising rather than falling. But then another shot up, then another, and another. Intrigued, I made my way to the edge to investigate. And who should I spy on an isle to the south but Hermes and Meteon, the Matea, rather. There were lots of them, and I realized they must be the shooting stars that I'd seen.
A dazzling spectacle indeed. Have you spoken with Hermes about this?
Oh, yes. The sight left such an impression on me that I approached him about his mystery project the very next day. Alas, he said that he couldn't reveal anything just yet, that he needed to conduct further tests. It shouldn't be long now, though. He often returns to that isle, and I have a feeling he's nearing a breakthrough.
Splendid. We are likewise the details. Well, that is all we wish to ask.
You're very welcome. It's always a pleasure to speak with other inquisitive souls. Oh, and will you be descending now? If so, I shall link the doors for you.
Please.
Alright, well, the more I interact with Vanat, the more I have a new favorite character for Endwalker. I really like her. So another piece of the puzzle falls into place. From what we've learned thus far, I think we can safely conclude that Hermes hasn't been revealing the details of his research to others, which suggests that either someone will appropriate his discoveries and make use of them, or that Hermes himself will have a hand in causing the final days. Since we have no reason yet to suspect the former, we should consider the latter the more likely possibility. Proceeding under that assumption, our next step should be to divine why, or even if, he might desire such a terrible fate for our star. Alright, well, I've had a long day. I had a crazy day at work. I run my own business, everything falls on my shoulders, you know. I wouldn't have it any other way. You reap all the rewards, you reap all the risk also, but yeah, it was a crazy day. I didn't get to play or stream as much as I would have liked, but I'm pooped. I'm going to call it a night, so... yeah, I see there's a couple people in here right now, probably both bots, but either way, I appreciate it.